Action, or what are you going to do?
Actually, I'm going to give myself a 5 count.
Okay, and then you're going to do it?
And good morning, everybody. We have the Adapthealth rehab technician, Mr. Paul Weisbrod. He was the Paul that I was referring to in the video the other day when I needed to get my other electric wheelchair repaired. So, nice to meet you, Paul.
Hi, Chris. How are you today?
I'm doing good.
That's good.
Paul is coming to repair my
Wheelchair backrest.
wheelchair backrest.
Yep.
What's wrong with the wheelchair backrest,
Well, it looks
mister?
like you lost half of your hardware on one side, so your backrest isn't sitting straight like it should.
Okay, can you show me where the hardware was lost?
Yep, right here.
Oh boy, that looks like a big problem, but
Yep.
luckily
It should look like that.
it should look like that.
Yep.
Okay.
So we're going to replace it with one that I had in the box.
Oh, good. But I thought we're supposed to think outside the box.
Sometimes, not always. Sometimes it's good to be in the box.
Mm-hmm.
Today it is.
Yes.
Today it's good that I had one in the box.
Yes. Now, Mr. Weisbrod,
Yes, sir.
you are the famous Paul that I've talked about on my live streams
Yep.
and videos.
Yep. Good to know I'm famous.
Yeah, yes, you're very famous.
Oh, good.
I see you're wearing a mask today.
Yes, I am.
Yes. You're the masked man.
I am the man. Who is that masked man?
I don't know.
It's Paul.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's Paul. Should we, I'm gonna just start asking you questions and you can talk about it.
That sounds perfect.
And, so, what are some of the common problems that in your history of dealing with wheelchair repair that you've seen with electric wheelchair? I mean, wheelchairs like that and electric wheelchairs.
With wheelchairs like this, a lot of times what fails on them is stuff in the front, these casters up here and the forks.
Okay.
And that's the biggest one, and then probably the brakes would be next.
Okay.
And the reason is I feel like they move the most and they kind of take the most abuse because you have to constantly put on your brakes or...
and you have to do it quickly, right?
Yes, exactly. Yep. So, and then it's, I think it's just the parts that have to move around the most are the ones that end up getting that most abuse, and those are the ones that end up failing.
Okay. So then, what about on an electric wheelchair?
What do you mean? An electric wheelchair, the number one thing is probably going to be batteries.
And how long do those last?
Usually they end up lasting, I would say between 1 and 2 years.
Okay.
That's pretty common.
How long are they rated to last for?
What do you mean?
Like, when they're manufactured?
Yep.
How long are they rated to last for? Are they like just 2-year rated or?
Most of the time they're warranted for 1 year.
Okay.
Yep. So they're expected to last at least 1 year, and if they don't, there's usually some kind of an issue there, whether it's the battery or the charger.
Okay. Obviously you have been in the field of rehab repair for many, many years.
Yep.
Did you get your start with Alina?
Yep.
Okay.
I did. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I started with Alina as a regular DME driver.
And
I just did
that would be
durable medical equipment, so like oxygen and hospital beds and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I did that at first, and then I kind of, by happenstance, there was an opening in rehab up in Cambridge where I worked, and I was able to capitalize on that and got into rehab, and I was a rehab tech for 6 years before I became an ATP. 5 years, actually.
Okay.
This would have been year 6.
Okay. And how long have you been at Alina?
I've been at Alina for almost 10 years.
Okay. And so you did probably like 3 years of 3 years of driving?
Yeah, just about 3. Yep. This would, like I said, this would have been year 10 for me if I was still at Alina, and now that we switched to Adapt, it's been about 10 years in the industry, I guess.
Okay, I'm gonna ask the same question I asked Greg the other day.
Okay.
How are you adapting?
I'm adapting really well.
Oh, that's
super well.
That's good.
Yes, it's been good so far. No problems of any kind.
Okay, and what's your favorite part of being the rehab technician?
Helping people like you.
Okay.
I like to help people and I like to talk to people. It's not every day you get to be on the Cruiser Chris World Network, so
Yeah.
stuff like this, opportunities like this are fun.
Yeah.
So,
And it gets the word out about, wheelchairs. Like,
yep.
the reason why I'm having you on today, or like I like to do this stuff, is
Yep.
because I like to show people that being in a wheelchair isn't really a bad thing.
Nope.
It's just, and it's not something you can control. So,
Yep. It's just another way of doing life.
Yep. What would you say? I know you might have a repeat to this question, but
That's okay.
what would you say is the most rewarding part?
The most rewarding part for me is when I help somebody get mobile for the first time in a long time, somebody who hasn't been able to do things that they want to do, like get around in their house by themselves or go out and check their mail, or for sometimes I work with kids too, and sometimes you get a kid in a gait trainer and that's their first time that they've ever really been able to walk.
First time they've taken steps.
Yep, and that is probably my favorite part about it is changing people's lives for the better by just enabling them to do stuff independently again.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times it's not always that people were never able to. It's just that they may have been able to once, but they haven't in a long time, and it's usually a big deal for them when they're able to do that again.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool.
Have you ever? I'm gonna ask you kind of a personal question.
Oh,
And I'm gonna just ask you from your perspective.
Yep.
Have you ever been involved in a situation where you've been really proud of what you've done and it has moved you to tears?
Yeah, lots of times, especially with kids. I can't tell you super specific examples because of HIPAA and all that. But,
Right.
yeah, lots of times because it's pretty moving to be able to affect somebody like that,
Yeah.
and be able to set a real direction in their life.
Mm-hmm.
How
does your work as an ATP, which we'll get to in just a moment,
Yep.
and a rehab technician, how does it translate for you into your everyday life?
I'm really busy.
Yeah.
To be a good ATP, I feel like you have to be able to multitask and be really busy, and be able to handle that pressure, because everybody needs their stuff and you're a big part of getting it done in a timely manner. And it's been good though. I mean, I really like it. I enjoy it. It's a new challenge for me. I like it a lot. I haven't been doing it that long. I just got my ATP this year, but it's been a nice new challenge, and I feel like I'm doing pretty well at it.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna ask you, what is the difference? Could you explain what an ATP is and kind of what they do, and
In ATP stands for Assistive Technology Professional, and an ATP is part of a team, basically, with the therapist and the user or the client or the patient.
That would be me.
That'd be you. You're prime example number one.
Yes.
we work together as a team with the physician and everybody else to make sure that you're ending up with the best possible equipment to enable you to do the things that you want to do. If that's being able to go back to work or whatever the case may be, it's just and so my portion of the job as an ATP, or my role in the team, is to kind of be an expert on the equipment so that I can help you or whoever
determine
make the best possible choice.
Determine the best possible equipment.
Yep, exactly. Yep, just to make that choice, and make one that's going to last. And maybe sometimes it's you're not choosing the first one or the one that you like the most, and we have to kind of talk about why maybe that piece that you like the most isn't going to be the one that works the very, very best for you.
Right.
And which one would. So sometimes you have to try a lot of different equipment and try a whole bunch of stuff in the house and come up with the best possible answer.
Well, that's a pretty explanatory pretty explanatory answer.
I think so.
Yeah.
That's good.
So like, here's another question I've been wondering.
Okay.
What is the most challenging part of your job?
Well, there's this guy, and his name is Chris.
Well,
his last name is Groska.
Yeah.
He has this channel called Cruiser Chris World Network.
Yeah.
No, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
The most challenging part of my job probably is, I would say that the hardest part of being an ATP now, which I haven't been doing it for that long, I guess, so maybe my answer will change in a few years. I would say that the most challenging part is probably just feeling like you have enough time to get to everyone. Because everybody, at least for me, I feel like everybody is
important.
Yeah, I treat everybody like they're the most important one, or I try to, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I want everybody to feel important and get taken care of as timely as possible. And it's a long process to get equipment. And so sometimes I struggle a little bit with the fact that the process does take quite a while, 3 to 5 months, or sometimes 6 or 7 or 9, or it can take a long time sometimes depending on what happens with insurance and there's a whole bunch of factors there. But
the fifth form of government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I think the most challenging part for me is feeling like I'm not able to go fast enough.
Yeah.
I don't like that part of it, that I don't have any control over the actual timeline from start to finish. I can only control my one little part.
So like, does a job like this, when you go home, does it cause you to maybe want to build things around your house because of
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've learned a lot about how to make things as being a tech for 5 years. You kind of learn how to adapt things and make things work for people, and that's part of being a good ATP too. Is the marrying up the right kinds of equipment with people, and something as small as getting the right size caster wheel can make a big difference in how somebody's able to get around in their house, or whether or not it's a soft roll caster or a hard one, and that's going to make them feel like they're going to chatter their teeth out of their head when they go over a bump.
Yeah.
Helping people choose the right equipment and figuring out how you can make other things work for them. It kind of teaches you that skill of how to kind of MacGyver things into the right thing for the client, and that carries over into your home too. Into your personal life. You know how to problem solve a whole lot better and come up with creative solutions that are going to work and last a long time.
Very good answer. Do you have a kind of a mentor who kind of has given you guidance along the way?
Yes, yeah. I worked with Tim, who you know very well because you worked with him for a long time, from when you were just a kid.
Yeah.
And he was the ATP that I was under as a tech, and it was just me and him, which is not super common to have a two-person team like that.
A double tandem team.
Yeah, and our coordinators too. But as far as the people in the field and learning how to kind of the nuts and bolts of rehab and taking care of people, I learned a lot from him.
Okay, what is the biggest thing that you've learned from Tim that you transfer over into your everyday work as an ATP and then a tech?
I would say there's two things. The first thing is that you need to think outside the box, because sometimes the solutions are simple to why something's not working for someone or why someone doesn't feel satisfied with their equipment. Sometimes the solution is right in front of your face, and it's an easy thing to do, but it might not be something that's totally normal or not a normal adjustment that needs to be made to the chair. Sometimes you need to think outside the box and reposition something to something that's a little bit outside the norm but totally meets their need. And the second thing, and probably the more important thing, is that the client is always first. You always treat the client first, and they're gonna, if you take care of people, they're gonna
come back to you because they know that you're the guy that took care of them. So.
Yes, that's right.
So now here's kind of a complicated question, but it's a really good one. So when you first came into the field,
yep,
what were some of the challenges that you faced that now are not so challenging?
I think the scariest or the most daunting task or kind of part of the job that was the hardest to kind of surmount was the fact that there's just so much equipment out there. There's so many things, and they all have their place, and they can all meet certain needs. And that's a big part of what makes ATPs and rehab techs and people that work in rehab so special, is that there's just so much to know. I mean, there's so many things to know, and being able to identify why one piece of equipment is going to work better for somebody than someone else is you learn it over time, and there's just so much to know. And I think that was the hardest part for me, was learning some of that equipment and just knowing that there was so much out there that I didn't know about.
Cool. And obviously you feel much better now.
Yeah, oh yeah. You just, when you work with stuff for 6-7 years, you start to catch on, and I know a lot more than I did then, but there's still a lot more for me to learn, and there always will be.
Yeah. So you're constantly always learning.
I'm trying to.
Yeah. I really appreciate you coming out and doing this with us.
Absolutely, yeah. And you got to fix up the backup chair too, because now you got a backrest again.
Yeah, and then we'll put the pad on, or the cushion on, and then we can. I might have you do a demonstration, but not in this video, but a separate one.
All right, that sounds like a plan.
About how to fold the chair up.
All right, that sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
We'll definitely do that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Weisbro.
Thanks for having me on Cruiser Chris World Network.
We'll have you on again one day soon.
That's right. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep.
This has been a presentation of the Cruiser Chris World Network. We hope that you've enjoyed the video. We will see you in the next one.